Thank you for coming and listening to this talk here. So I'm Caroline, and I'm going to be talking about filling the industry-wide medical writing void. So it's lovely to be here and see all these wonderful avatars in the audience, and what a great time it is to be in MedComms, right? So before I start, I'm just going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my background. So I'm Caroline. I'm a principal medical writer here at Word Monster. And let me start by explaining my monster name. So for those of you that don't know, at Word Monster, we all have monster names when we join the company. My monster name is Geneva. I chose this as we have a life first culture at Word Monster, as you've just heard from Carl. And as I started here, we had just been on a family holiday to Geneva in Switzerland. And I was making those special memories with my two girls and my husband. And my other love in life is genetics. And it was my first science passion and always will be. So my name combines my two passions together. As well as a passion for medical writing and communicating those complex scientific topics, I love all things education, and I'm now privileged to be in the position of training the next generation of medical writers and helping them succeed. So my screen has just changed a little bit. There we go. So my journey to this point has taken me through quite a windy path. Yeah, very rewarding path. I started with my qualifications in biology. So I graduated with a master's in biology from Bath University. And I then went on to complete a PhD in medical genetics at the University of Birmingham. I also have a postgraduate diploma in education, and I am a qualified teacher. My first glimpse into the pharma industry was when I worked as an industrial placement year in a drug discovery and pharmacology department at a pharma company based in Reading. And it was, in fact, this placement that inspired me to go on and complete a PhD. I also completed a postdoc at a protein diagnostic company, running retrospective clinical trials and managing a small research group. And more recently, I worked back at the same company as an MSL, or medical science liaison. I was drawn into the world of medical writing, which was clearly aided by my hatred of Western blots, which I'm sure lots of you here today will empathise with. Going on to writing experience, I actually first started medical writing for the NHS. I worked at the National Genetics Education Centre, creating slide decks, leave pieces, video, animation, transcripts, as well as completing curricular gap analyses and running face-to-face training sessions. And when I worked as an MSL in the industry, I also had a joint role, actually, where I worked in psychoms, gaining that vital experience in producing slide decks, manuscripts, etc., before moving over to writing in a MedComms agency here at Word Monster, where I've now been for 3.5 years. And finally, my experience in education. I did tell you this is a very windy path. But yeah, along the way, I've gained much experience in education, which is vital for my role today, working as a secondary school science teacher and as a biomedical lecturer. And now I get to combine my two passions, medical writing and education. So enough about me, onto what you really want to hear about today. So today I want to talk to you about the medical writing void. That is the lack of medical writers that we hear all about, and how here at Monster Academy we're trying to help solve this problem. I'm going to start by discussing what is causing this void, and then go on to discuss the importance of training and what impactful training looks like, and touch on some of the insights that we've gained from creating the Monster Academy. So firstly, let's start by taking a moment to think about the history of medical writing. So we use Slido a lot in training here at Word Monster. It's super simple. If you haven't used it before, you just need to grab your mobile phone and scan in this QR code. And once you've done that, you should be able to answer the question. So how long has medical writing been around? So 6000 BC, 1827, 1990s, or 2007. Just a couple more minutes to answer that. So I'm wondering if some of you have been in any of my talks before, because yeah, a lot of you got that right. So 1827 was in fact my red herring. So the roots of the pharma industry date back to the apothecaries and the pharmacists of the Middle Ages. And in fact, 1827 was when the first pharma company started trading. That was Merck. 1990s, perhaps, the rise of the medical writing industry, of the World Wide Web. And yeah, no one picked 2007. And in fact, majority of you are correct, that the medical writing can be dated back to 6000 BC. So you may think of medical writing as a fairly new career, supporting pharma and portraying the use of modern medicine, but we can think again. The first record of medical writing actually dates back to the ancient past, with a mythical god, Thor, a god who worshipped in Egypt between about 6000 BC, and first documented the use of medicine on the body and diseases on papyrus rolls. In fact, medical writing can be followed through history, from the Hippocrates of Cos to the great Roman medical scholar Galen. And it's also important to mention the New England Journal of Medicine, which was founded in 1812. And this is the oldest continuous medical periodical, which is central to the rigorous peer review process that holds writing and publications to a high scientific accuracy and a stringent editing process. And here we are in 2023, sat at MonsterComm. So what's next for medical writing and medcoms? Well, the future is very exciting. It is an industry in growth. It's expected to be a surge in the demand for medical writers over the next decade, with the medical writing industry set to more than double from 4 billion to 9.4 billion by 2023. What a time to work in this industry, right? So why is medical writing expanding? So let's start by looking at pharma itself and the expanding landscape of pharma. So the pharma industry has witnessed tremendous growth over the last decade, with COVID-19 further fueling the development of potential treatments, diagnostics, and vaccines at an unprecedented rate. There are now over 5,000 companies involved in pharma research and development globally, approximately double of that was in 2012. The global pharma R&D spending has increased from about 130 billion in 2012 to over 240 billion in 2022, this leading to an astonishing doubling of the pipeline drug count. And the swift pharma growth of pharma R&D has in turn accelerated the growth of several other associated industries, including medical writing. The global medical writing market stood at a value of approximately 3.8 billion in 2022, and the industry is further anticipated to grow at a compound annual growth rate of over 10% between now and 2030. And as we saw on the last slide, this means the medical writing industry is set to more than double from that 4 billion to 9.4 billion in 2032. So as we've seen, the demand for medical writing is growing. But there's more to it than just the growth of pharma alone. There are many other factors which are accounting for the growth in medical writing demand. There is a focus on evidence-based medicine and clinical research, and with this comes a need for communications to cover all aspects of writing clinical publications to an increased need for medical education. There is an increased demand for regulatory writing. So there's an increased demand for trials, which are becoming more complex, and with this, the increased demand for regulatory writers. There is an ever-increasing emphasis on pharmacovigilance. A stronger focus on patient safety and pharmacovigilance over the years is clearly pivotal, and this has led to larger requirements for writers to make safety-related documents like adverse events reports and risk management plans. And of course, the digital revolution has well and truly hit pharma. The way we interact with health information has changed. According to a study in 2018, around 80% of internet users in the US searched online for health-related information. In addition, at least 60% of social media users rely on health information posted on social media platforms. So in recent years, the pharmaceutical companies have adapted their advertising strategies to improve patient outreach. In addition, the growing influence of social media on customers' decisions has compelled pharmaceutical and biotech companies to reconsider their marketing strategies. And this is not to mention the trends in MedEd, with increasing need for content such as mobile apps, web platforms, and e-learning courses to reach out and train healthcare professionals and internal pharma employees alike. And last but not least is the rising outsourcing of medical writing services to specialist agencies. So outsourcing medical writing assignments lowers the staffing need by lowering the cost of recruitment, training, and retention. And medical device and pharmaceutical companies are increasingly turning to outside vendors to meet their writing need. Hence, the demand for medical writers is growing in agencies such as ours. So what's the solution to this ever-increasing need for medical writers? It's to hire more writers, right? Seems simple, and I can nearly hear all of you say this. If only it was that simple. So we all know there is this need for more medical writers. There's also a load of graduates trying to break into the industry. So what is the problem? Medical writing is a niche role, and for that, you need to have a specific skill set and training. So unless you're a handful of companies lucky enough to have great training schemes, just employing more writers is not the answer. So as I said, working in medcoms is a niche career, and the skills required to be a medical writer are diverse and specific. There is a shortage of people with a particular combination of skills needed to be a successful writer. There are so many niche skills, from those with class as key attributes, such as attention to detail, interpersonal skills, creativity, to scientific skills, having that scientific knowledge and the ability to critically analyze data and studies, and know the relevant guidelines, to the all-important language skills, and medical writers must have impeccable English. And finally, to those transferable skills of agency skills and soft skills and project management that are also really key. And there are even more aspects to being a great medical writer than just those skills we've discussed so far. There are a vast variety of documents that medical writers work on. And these are just some of the examples shown on the screen here, from medical education, such as like producing slide decks and e-learning, to regulatory writing, to healthcare, copywriting and advertising, writing for a lay audience, and to making sure that you have SEO-driven content. How many times have you seen a CV land in your inbox to review, and it's from an academic, a highly intelligent, skilled, articulated individual with a dire need to break into the medical writing industry? But with all due respect to these individuals, they don't realize they do not have the skills they need, not just yet. Even if they are going to specialize in publications, the world of pharma is very different to an academic life. Do they know the stakeholders they are going to interact with? How to adapt their writing to the correct tone for the right audience? The recent requirements in GPP4, or the Good Publication Practice Guidelines, for example, or know how to produce really accurate and detailed lay summaries. And this is only if they want to focus on publications. This means that it's a demand for mid-weight medical writers who are fully trained, causing more turmoil in recruitment and headhunting for experienced medical writers, and limited opening for entry-level medical writers wanting to join the industry. Furthermore, we have very experienced writers who then go on to become freelancers, adding fuel to the fire. So what is at risk if we don't have these skilled and trained medical writers? Quality, reputation, and compliance is at risk. Okay, so I might be a little bit harsh with the image I've used in this slide, but there is a growing problem in our industry. For those of you in the audience who are not British, here is your homework to research this British classic, which epitomizes the term rogue trader. As I say, I am being a little harsh here, but we do need to protect our industry. We work in one of the most heavily regulated industries out there, and it's for a very good reason. When we get it wrong, the consequences are huge, and we need to protect people and patients from harm. We need to ensure that medical writers have the training they need. Training in soft skills, in writing skills, how to interpret statistics, how to write for different audiences, the lists go on. But I think training compliance is really top of the list. Understanding the ABPI code, as well as codes for other regions, is vital to ensure the breaches are not made and we do not tarnish the pharma industry and pharma companies' reputations ultimately as well. So, you know, making sure we have this trust in the industry. You may have spotted the phrase there in my word cloud of inexperienced freelancers. With the increased demand for medical writing, coupled with this lack of opening positions, more and more individuals are turning to careers in freelance medical writing with little or no industry experience. And like other agencies, freelancers are key to the growth and stability of our company. We couldn't be without them. And a big shout out to all freelancers out there too, who are experienced, professional, and produce incredibly high quality work. But how do we ensure we have these high quality freelancers in our team? Like all agencies, we ask freelancers to approach us to complete a writing test. And so often, freelancers not only don't pass a writing test, but some don't even come close. And these are very able individuals. They just don't yet have the skills or the experience. So we really need to think about how we can train up more medical writers to make sure we do have this quality and make sure we keep the high standards of our industry. So what is the solution? Train more writers? There are lots of enthusiastic graduates and career changers trying to break into medcoms. And I think we're actually absolutely right here. We need to train more writers, and training programs are absolutely pivotal at the moment to make sure we close this void in the medical writing industry. Training is a very powerful tool for success, both for individuals, agencies, and the industry as a whole. Training is really vital for all individuals working in medcoms. Training ensures that employees feel valued. They are improving themselves, and career progression opportunities are increasing for them. We are improving skills and closing that skills gaps, and we improve and increase motivation in individuals when we have more training available to us. Training is also a really powerful tool for success for agencies. It helps us ensure we have that really high quality work and instills a really positive work culture in our own companies. And for the industry as a whole, training is vital. Training upholds the trust in the industry, which is in fact the second clause in the ABPI and one of the most important overarching requirements of our industry. And I'm just going to take a moment here to focus on agencies and pharma, and because I feel this is really important. And it's a really, really important benefit to providing valuable training. This is that quality training is heavily linked to employee retention and recruitment. Having discussed at length the shortage of medical writers, you want to make sure that you nurture those that you do employ, that you have invested so heavily in already. And here are some really noteworthy numbers. Companies that excel in training and development have been shown to retain employees for twice as long as companies who invested in less training. A recent LinkedIn survey showed that 94% of employees say they would stay in a company longer if they invest in learning and development. 74% of workers are willing to learn new skills to remain employable. The number repeats itself. 74% of workers feel they aren't reaching their potential due to a lack of training opportunities. In 2019, a study published by the Harvard Business Publishing showed that more than 55% of employees consider career growth more important than salary. And Amazon actually published some stats in 2021 indicating that 66% of workers aged 18 to 24 ranked learning as one of the most crucial perks when choosing new career opportunities. And finally, the tech company IBM found that employees who feel they can't achieve their career goals are 12 times more likely to leave a company. So with all that in mind, we have seen the importance of training to individuals, to agencies, to the industry as a whole. I want you to take your mind back to when you first entered MedComms. Whether you had great training or poor training, what I'd like you to do is think about one word that describes your training as you've entered MedComms. Again, you just open the browser that you used last time. This should pop up automatically, or just re-scan this code here and it should take you to the page. And yeah, I just want you to think of one word that can describe your training as you've entered MedComms. Some great answers coming in here. Thank you to everyone who is contributing this. It's really fantastic. Yeah, as you can see, the largest in the middle there is lacking and minimal and learn as you go, which is really, really interesting because there is this massive lack of training. It is not just the case. There are some great positive answers here as well. Comprehensive, deep end, valuable, necessary, really important, generous, which is great, task orientated. But yeah, we have got, I'd say, hedging more on the side of negative points, I would say there. So occasional, compliance only. I guess compliance is really key. So it's great you're getting compliance, but there's so much more. Ad hoc, sporadic, sparse, poor. Thank you for that input. It is really interesting to see. And with that, let's move on to look at impactful training for medical writers. So what does a successful training program look like? It seems like there's a few of us in the audience who may have taken part in these when they joined MedComms, and maybe there's more of us who haven't. So a successful training program may be a graduate training program, and several of the larger medical writing companies now have developed their own programs, which is great for those that are working for these industries, for these companies rather. And what would be really great is if, and I think some of the companies do have this, is in-house training and mentoring to align with core competencies to aid in helping medical writers progress their career. So it's not just the entry-level training, but also training as you progress from medical writer to senior writer to principal writer. So a whole package of training that supports all aspects of your job is what is really needed. What I think is really key is that we ensure that training is developed and delivered by qualified trainers who know how to get the most out of training. And also an effective learning management system is also really key. So this is software or web-based technology to house and monitor the uptake of training. But the question is, what happens if you don't have the time, the resources, or the capacity to create such training programs? Screening, testing, interviewing of medical writers alone takes up really precious internal time and resources. And the development of new writers relies on already stretched senior team members to provide ongoing mentoring and supporting these more junior writers. So what do you do if you don't have the time for this? So here we are trying to help. And let me introduce to you Tuther's doppelganger, who funds the Monster Academy. Our mission, we want to fill the medical writing void. We want to improve our industry for the better by offering high quality training. And indeed, we want to train 5,000 plus medical writers over the next 5 years. We have developed an extensive curricula of training. We are supporting entry-level medical writers up to senior level and beyond. We partner with individuals to build careers. We offer training programs that offer the foundation to a career in medical writing, helping graduates and career changers get their foot through that door. We partner with agencies to build teams. We become their training partners with our clients, and we empower our partners to create their own graduate training programs and continued career development by providing the curriculum to train these entry-level medical writers and support them as they progress in their career. We also partner with pharma to build expertise. Many pharma are now building their own internal medical writing teams, as well as outsourcing, and we support building skills and training here too. And in fact, we are currently working on one of the top 5 pharma companies to do just this. So what are these services we offer? We offer the whole package. We offer consultancy services, so we can help build that knowledge and those services, from team mapping and core competencies to providing top-notch style guides, for example. So for agencies and for pharma, we're really helping build those teams with our consultancy services. We actually offer the whole package. We offer talent acquisition as well, so we can do the hard work to build teams from the bottom up. We have the platforms to attract, filter, and hire great medical writers. I guess maybe the most important part is the training workshops and programs that we offer. So medical writer training has been created especially for these healthcare writing teams to cover everything from promotional copywriting to quality control and data checking. We have it all covered. And Monster mentoring. upskilling teams with focused training and coaching to make sure that we support medical writers through their whole career as they progress. So to summarise, we have all bases covered. We are determined and we are going to upskill medical writers and close this medical writing void. So for the last few minutes of my presentation, if you can stick with me for a little bit longer, I'd like to share with you some of the insights that we've gained during this process of creating our own Monster Academy. So firstly, the extensive time it has taken to create the Monster Academy. We have spent a monumental amount of time developing content for this course. It is not a curriculum that can be developed overnight, but it takes years, and it is a continuous process. We are constantly reevaluating and updating or adding new content to the training that we deliver. And secondly, we have all heard the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a whole team of medical writers to create an academy like this. And as a true medical writer, I'd like to substantiate all my claims, and having been a parent to 2 children, I can very much testify that it does take a village to raise a child. In fact, I think that's a bit of an underestimate, and I think maybe a city would be more accurate, I think, in my case, and I'm sure many of you here might agree. And I can also testify that it very much does take a whole team to pull this together. As a team, we have got over 100 years collective experience in medcoms, and this deep expertise and teamwork has been everything and pulling together the amazing curriculum that we now have. And moving on to digital solutions. We all heard from Carl earlier, and we are very proud to be a fully remote company at Word Monster, and our training academy is no different. But with that in mind come some challenges. We needed to create a remote course, but luckily technology these days is on our side. So let's start with the learning management system. There are loads of course platforms out there, all with their own benefits. We did our research and we found that LearnWorlds was our match. LearnWorlds is a cloud-based platform for online courses, allowing us to host both external courses and our own internal training. Not only do we host courses via this platform, but it also allowed us to build a completely customizable website based around it in this platform. It also allows you to create a community for people attending the courses. They can chat to each other within the platform. When they log in, they can see all of the content and they can chat to each other and they can ask questions to us. And the communication is really fantastic. As with any quality learning management system, it has great features for reports and analytics. And of course, course assessment is absolutely key to a good training package. You can track engagement and monitor trainee progress. So you can even see who's been engaging with different videos, and it provides you heat maps even to show you which parts of certain videos people rewatch several times. It is really quite amazing amount of detail you can get out of the platform. LearnWorlds pairs very smoothly with Zoom, in fact. And so our course uses Zoom as well. And of course, we are all familiar with Zoom during the pandemic, but don't worry, there are no more quizzes that are going to happen through Zoom here. But I have to say it is great. Users don't even need to log into Zoom separately. They can attend live webinars through logging into their LearnWorlds platforms. They have everything in the same place, and they attend the webinar through Zoom in this browser. The next challenge we faced was making learning engaging and getting that formative and summative assessment that is so key to all of us trainers. And this is where Slido comes in. And as you've seen Slido in action today, it really is a great polling tool to use, and it does add that magic sparkle to our webinars. So you can really, really keep engagement and also make sure people are following your training, and also just adding that extra level of engagement as well. And last but not least is Articulate. I have to say we have had great success with our synchronous training programs where we run weekly webinars as well as other writing tasks as well. But we're now looking at developing an asynchronous training that is purely e-learning, where users can really access the training at their own pace and at times that suits them, so don't need to even attend live webinars. And this is where Articulate, in my opinion, is the best software out there for creating these interactive online e-learning modules. And they have also themselves, Articulate, have recently pushed forward with their options for creating micro-learning too, which is really, really fantastic. So hopefully this has given you a really good snapshot into the digital solutions that we are using at the Monster Academy. And finally, I just want to relay to you the benefits of remote learning. I was already convinced of remote learning. I think it's amazing, but the benefits of remote learning and how they fit into our world today is really, really fantastic. And I just want to run through some of those with you now. The first is learning is interactive and dynamic. Gone are the days of remote, boring online lessons, but now the possibilities to engage are countless, from interactive breakout rooms to Slido. All sorts are now possible. Remote learning, as with face-to-face, still allows a strong curriculum to be built around andragogy or adult learning theory to ensure the most effective training is developed. And all important, training fits around life. As we said, WordMonster is a life-first company, and our training is no different. And the final point that I have to say still blows my mind some days is that we really can reach people worldwide. And we are so proud that we are not only closing the medical writing void here in the UK, but we are reaching as far as the US, Hungary, Norway, Australia. Literally nowhere is out of bounds. So to summarize, and thank you for staying with me so long, the industry is facing exponential growth. It is a very exciting time to be working in medcoms and medical writing, and there is very much a great growth. But with this, the skills gap is worsening, and we need more medical writers that are trained, that have the expertise. And here at Monster Academy, we are filling that resource void. We are going to train 5,000 medical writers over the next 5 years. So thank you so much for listening to my talk. I hope it's given you some of the insight into how we've been developing the Monster Academy and how we're hoping to close this void and train up more medical writers. If you would like to know more information, please come along and talk to me at the Monster Academy booth, or grab me anywhere in the Gather platform for the rest of the day. And please also head over to our Monster Academy website and follow us on social media. I have left those 2 QR codes there, but please do come and find me as well. Yeah.